like I mentioned, this is just going to be a basic intro into the new parts. We have like a lot of parts to actually go through, so we're just going to do a very, you know, this is how you use it. This is so. I don't think we need to show the spud guns with the wings. They're really self-explanatory, but it's all this new logic stuff that we actually have to explain how to use. So I think the first thing that we have to show is the number block itself. Let's build a little bit of a picnic table here.
I totally used the wrong thumbnail.
Alright, so the number block, once you put it down, I mean, I guess it looks like a logic gate. That's pretty obvious. But how would you use this? This isn't something that you... Well, you could use it. But if you want to display a number on it, for example, the counter block. The counter block has... Okay, no, wait, I guess I should explain first. The new thing about this mod pack is it introduces a new format of information, which is numbers. Typically with logic gates, it's either just on or off, and you can think of it like 1 or 0, or true or false, or whatever. And like, you know, with all the engines and lights and stuff, it's just either on or off. You've never really had to deal with numbers before. But with the mod pack, we're introducing numbers. So if you take a look at this counter block, it has the number inside of it. You can't see it, but it's in there. And when you turn it on, it just starts counting up.
As you can see with the...
And turn it off,
UV.
it stops counting up. You can press E on it to reset it back to 0. And this is useful for lots of stuff, really. It's up to your imagination what you end up using this for. So that's why I just want to show like a very basic introduction of like how these parts work, because then you guys can come up with how you're going to use them. It's like very open-ended. So the first thing then that I actually wanted to show, what'd you do here?
So you can count up, down, and reset using logic as well, not only by pressing it or using a switch.
Oh yeah, you don't have to use buttons and switches. You can use logic gates or other, like a sensor even.
Yes.
Timer.
Colored inputs are all about the... It's the most important key in this mod pack.
Okay, so if you ever hear Brent Batch talk, he mentions something like logic inputs. That's the 1 or 0 thing that I mentioned earlier with all the previous stuff in the game. So that's switches, buttons, sensors, logic gates, timers. They all output 0 or 1. That's a logical. That's what Brent Batch means when he says logic input. So it's going to be the thing that we're introducing is the number inputs, and that's different from logic inputs. So anyway, I just wanted to explain that real quick. This number block, though, it's not the same as like the counter block. It does have numbers in it, but it's more used to like display the number or transfer the number over to something else. So let's show you real quick how we can pull the number out of this counter block. Wait. Okay, you're doing it. Yeah, we connect all the numbers to this, from the counter block to the numbers. And this will show numbers. But this isn't exactly what we want. So what we can do with these number blocks is paint them. Let me pull out my paint tool real quick. You can go ahead and paint them if you want, but...
Yes.
If you look here in this paint menu, over here on the right side, we have the regular orange, not the light orange or the dark orange, just the regular orange. That's the default color for a lot of parts in Scrap Mechanic. So that's just going to be 1.
First
like
digit.
a value of 1. That's the first digit, so to speak. And if you get higher and higher numbers, you go to the left. So red is the second digit. Pink is the third digit. Purple is the fourth blue is the fifth, and so on and so forth, all the way to this lime green color. Or does it go to yellow?
No, 8 colors. It was intended for binary
so it goes
usage.
to the lime green color. You can also do higher, even higher digits than that with the dark row of colors at the bottom. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So now when you count up the counter block, these number blocks will display the appropriate digits from that number value inside this counter block here. Let's go ahead and flick the switch, and we see it counting up. We're already at 200. What?
Counts every tick, so not every second or anything.
The speed that it counts at is every tick. If you pull out a timer, like a regular timer, this is the thing that's you see the tick value here. So one tick is 0.25, or sorry, 0.025 seconds. That's one tick. 40 ticks in a second. That's how fast these counter blocks count. But if you really wanted to, like if you, I'm not sure, like I said earlier, these parts are made very open-ended, so you can use them in any different ways that you can imagine, really. So these switches that we connected earlier, we have a button we can just count up manually for a little bit. And this is actually useful for if you want to set, for example, a power level of something. Like the new thrusters in the Modpack. We'll get to them later on, but the new thrusters in the Modpack, they can actually input a very specific power level, and they take a number input. They take a logic input to like turn them on and off. You can turn them on and off with like a button or a switch. But a number input is what specifies how powerful they are.
It's like the GUI in the vanilla thruster, but like infinite levels. And even negative.
Yeah. So you can use these buttons. It's going to be a little bit confusing once you get started, but once you actually understand how they work, it's just going to unlock so many possibilities for you. But the biggest thing to remember is the difference between a logic input and a number input. And that's just like a regular button or switch, or like an actual number input. So these regular buttons, these regular logic buttons, orange button will count up, the brown will count downwards. Kind of hard to show that on my screen because of where you put it. There we go. We're counting down because I'm pressing the brown button. And if you look in the paint menu, it's just here. Orange means up, brown means down. You can actually use the other colors to count up by different digit values. Is that that's in binary, right?
No, for a counter this is in digits.
Oh, okay. Alright, so yeah, if you paint the button red and dark red, you'll just skip this orange digit entirely and count up by the by the red digit. So it'll be a lot faster. But you can use a setup like this to adjust the power level like up and down really easily. And the white button, of course, is just reset entirely. It's the same thing as if you went up to this counter block and pressed E. But it's convenient because you can also hook up these buttons to a seat, so you can do this all from a seat if you really need to.
Yeah. If you hook it up to a white switch, it'll always reset.
I think let's
kind of an
pull out the smart sensor. We're going to show this next because we're going to be using these number blocks for everything that we're going to be showing today. Just because, like, again, you don't actually need these number blocks, but if you want to pull out the number blocks to display the value in the counter, you can use them like that. Or it's just a way to display the value and transfer the value. We'll see that later with like some math stuff. But you don't actually need these because you can just hook up this counter block straight to whatever you want the number to go to, and the number will transfer over this wire. Alright, so Brent's already building a thing. Getting a little too excited.
Yes. We totally forgot about...
Way too excited because you didn't
Yes.
have any idea what I had planned.
I was gonna do that.
Okay. So, number blocks. They also have... You can also paint them other colors for decimal places. And if you look at the top row of colors, the very light colors, that's how you can define the decimal place. So the light orange is the first decimal place. The light red is the second. It goes like in the opposite direction, but that's how decimal places work.
Yeah. Planning on doing that in
First
binary
digit,
too.
second digit, third digit, fourth digit, and same for the other side. Is just the top row of colors. Orange is always the first digit.
So this smart sensor outputs a number, and this number is basically the distance to where it hits a block.
Yes, except some
blocks are slanted.
There we go.
Of course, player 2.
Yep. So this will give you the precise distance from the sensor. Super precise. You can actually see the numbers freak out a little bit. Am I 0.0001 or 2?
Both.
It doesn't know.
It's a paradox.
I'm gonna quantum superposition. Anyway, you can use this for precise measurements. No. Go here and like walk away from it. Just keep going. You guys can see this number will just keep on going up and up and up. It actually has infinite range. Oh, you missed it.
Am I?
Yeah, you're not on it anymore.
No?
It's detecting whatever's behind you, which is probably the wall.
Well, if it says 3000 something, it's the wall. Or 800? No.
Yeah, 848.
That's...
Are we 848 blocks away? No, there's probably something else in the way.
It's a tree. Or
maybe it's
hill.
that tree over there.
Anyway, it also detects the walls, so it's not really infinite range.
What? Oh.
It detects the walls.
Yeah, no,
so.
no. The sensor does have infinite range. It just returns whatever the distance is, and the invisible walls around the map happen to be the limit of this world. But if there were no invisible walls, then it would probably return infinity or some error.
100,000, but I'll code it so that's infinity. Just a small number change.
Alright, so this is an example of another number. Well, another number part, another number-based part. It's not like a logic part. Like the vanilla sensor is just on or off. So if you hook up a, here we go. Let's hook up a vanilla sensor. There we go. Let's get a number block. There we go. And we just hook that up straight to the number block. That will just return 1 or 0, on or off. Doesn't matter what the range is. You're either in the range or you're not in the range. That's what the vanilla sensor does. So that's just an example of, I already said that, another example of a numbered part.
How we totally expand everything.
I think it's time to introduce the math block. It's probably one of the more powerful parts in this thing. We're gonna come back to the number block though, because we're also gonna show you how to input, like how to get a very specific number. Because so far, we haven't actually shown you, like say you want to do the number 8 or something like that. So we're gonna need that for the math block. But first, I'm just gonna show you real quick. If you guys have seen the video of the Modpack release, you probably know this thing has a ton of functions in it. Just so many. so many functions. You could build a scientific calculator. You could build actual programs. Oh, and it also has seat functions. Like you can count the number of people in a bunch of seats. You can convert A and D. These actually work with multiple seats too.
Yes.
And you can convert W and S.
It'll take the average of all players sitting in seats.
Yeah. All right, so first thing I want to show you though before we get into the math block is how you can another way that you can use these number blocks.
Yes. Let's color them.
Brent.
just start placing on both sides, right? What?
Just wait.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, now go.
That's just okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're looking at it from different perspectives. That's really why. Anyway.
Mm.
So here you can see I painted the second row, well, Brent did, the second row of colors from right to left. That's going to be our digits. But this, being a logic input, gives binary values to the number block. So if we flick the orange, that just puts 1. But if you know binary, it goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. So let's take a look at this first number block while Brent is hooking that up.
Yeah, it's hooked up.
See, 1, 2, 1 and 2 together is 3, 4, 8. So if we wanted to do 4 plus 2, that's 6. Plus 1 is 7. What if we wanted 10? Let's get 8 and 2. That's 10. But a single number block can't actually display.
The numbers are way too big and you need to split it up.
And it'll just display plus n. And we'll get into negative numbers in a little bit. Actually, we could probably do that over here.
Using the math block, right? Oh wait, yeah, using that.
Just hook up 1 real quick. It should already be a... Hold on. Okay, there you go. It should already be some negative number. I don't know what it's going to be. There you go, negative 240. So all the numbers, all the blocks in the mod pack that can actually contain numbers, they can display positive or negative numbers.
And the negative
the
sign.
full range of numbers, including
properly.
decimal numbers and infinity. So sorry, everyone that's like asking questions in chat, just wait just a little bit. We're gonna go through some basic explanations and then we'll enter like a Q&A session in a little bit. All right, sorry, I just was a little distracted with the stream cutting out there for a bit. Okay.
Yeah, did the same for me.
So yeah, with this positive number thing, you can actually use more number blocks to display the full value. Again, you don't actually need to do this. This is just if you want to display the numbers for yourself. Or maybe you want to split up the digits for something, for some other function, but that's something for like experts or nerds
Yeah.
to deal with. Like you can take the 1 value from this second digit and do something with it, like put it over here.
Yeah.
Bam, I got a 1.
Or you just want the larger digits. 100, 200, 300, and use it.
Let's worry about that later. So yeah, the number value itself is just in this block, and then you can use this block for other things. So let's set up a couple of switches over here. For this digit, we're gonna get 2 different numbers, and that's Good starting point for the math block. Okay.
Right.
All right, so number 1 we'll do 24 for number 1. What are you gonna put for number 2?
64. No,
Okay,
that'll
we're
be
gonna
too
add
big
them.
for other stuff. Just 5. Seems like
Add
a
them together.
great number.
Hold on. All right, so we can display up to 6 digits with this calculator, this makeshift calculator that we built. But we're gonna add 24 and 5. That's 29. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Next, we're gonna go to the next function in the math block, which is minus. And this is where you'll see, this is where you'll notice a thing with the math block. One of the dots is going to be white, and the other dot is going to be black. So this is where you'll actually need to go back to these number blocks over here, and you're gonna have to paint one of them to be white and the other one to be black. And this is how you define your order of operations. So if you want white minus black, you can get the number 19. Otherwise, it's just gonna be like in whatever order you connected to them, and that's not going to be easy to remember what that is. Oh yeah, good for adding decimals.
Also, if you
but
restart the world, the order will just randomly shift around. So
unless they're colored, right?
Yeah, unless they are
Yeah.
colored.
So if you color them, you define your order of operations, and that's the way that you want to use these functions. So let's real quick switch around the order. We're gonna do 5 minus 24, and there you see negative 19. Fun stuff. So the next function, we got multiply.
Can anyone
24.
confirm this?
What?
In the chat. 5 times 24?
You don't know your multiplication tables?
Okay,
Brett
okay.
needs you guys to
37
confirm.
times 24?
Does-
No,
What?
20.
Really? Is that
24?
888?
It, apparently.
Well, we're gonna have to trust a calculator. But let's switch that back down to something a little bit lower, because we might
5.
not have enough digits for what's coming next. All right. So multiplication, obviously, order of operations doesn't matter, but division does. So if you want to do 5 divided by 24, we get some decimal number here, because that's a fraction.
Yes.
But let's switch around these digits again. There we go. We have a positive number again, 4.8. Let's add 1 to this. Bam, there you go. 25 divided by 5 is a perfect rounded 5. All right.
For the next operation, we'll put it back to 24. Because this is modulus.
Yes, modulus. If you don't know what modulus is, it's division remainder. So it does the division operation, but just returns whatever's remaining. So if you were to divide 25 by 5, you have 0 remaining. But if you divide 24 by 5, it goes into 24 4 times, but you also have 4 remaining. That's a little bit of a confusing number. Let's do 30. What? You changed this one?
No, I
Oh,
didn't
wait,
touch
you
the
didn't change
5.
it. Okay, there we go. All right, so 30 divided by 4 is it should be 28. 28 divides into 4 evenly, but 30 has 2 remaining. That's how modulus works. I don't know why I'm explaining modulus. This is just like, some people either understand this, or either you haven't taken enough school to know what modulus is.
Right.
Should
next.
be like I don't know, before high school.
Yeah.
next function is exponents, and this is why we don't need... Oh my god, this is why we don't need huge numbers here. Let's just do square. There we go. So exponent is white. Oh my god, I need something out of my hotbar so that I can point. There we go. There we go. White number to the exponent of black number. And that is 24 to the power of 2, or just squared.
And if you're squaring, you can really just disconnect the 2, because it automatically squares.
Yeah. So, I don't want to get into too much detail of these features. We'll get into that in the video.
Yeah.
But you can define what the exponent is. So if you wanted to cube something to the power of 3, bam, you got yourself a huge number, and you can get way too high of a number here.
Eventually, you'll be forced to use the darker colors.
Yeah. Well, so what Brent is talking about, if it's number blocks, the dark row of colors is even larger digits. So this is the first, second, third, fourth, all the way up to the 8th digit, and then you can go back down to the darker row for even more digits than that if you ever need that. But again, you don't actually need the number blocks to display anything, because the value is carried inside this math block here. The value is all tucked away inside this bad boy here. And you can use that for anything that you want. I don't suggest using exponent function for powering a thruster. You'll leave the world very quickly.
Yes.
Alright, next function is square root. So 24 to the square, there we go. There's the square root. 2 is a normal square root.
So square root is 25, 5?
Yeah, square root of 25 is 5. But you can also take cubic roots by changing the black number. All sorts of total nerd functions. Hey, look, gamer, and Capamar, can you make a drone? Or you can make a drone. Yeah, we'll get into some more stuff after in a little bit. We're just going to run through some explanations real quick. The math block is taking up the most of these explanations, though, just because there's so many functions. So the absolute function is if you have, I think we actually need like another math block for this. Yeah. Let's go back one, which is actually a perfect time to show another feature of most of these parts, actually. If you ever go one too far, you can actually just shoot a spud gun, and that'll go back a function. So that goes backwards in the function list. Although that also means that you got to be careful, and you got to protect your circuitry from incoming spuds. You know, if you ever have like vehicle wars and stuff that actually use this stuff, you probably want to protect them by covering them up. All right, so let's have just like a simple, no, we want division. There we go, there's division. We're gonna remove this a little bit, and we're gonna stick another math block down here for absolute.
Absolute shows negative numbers and makes them positive. It doesn't remove the decimal digits. That's something else.
That's fine. We're going to need this setup anyway. Are you hooking it up? No, you're not.
No, I'll color it.
Hold on. I'm actually going to put it... I'm going to put it one lower.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's really annoying to try and hook up something that's in a direct line with something. Because then you can't really tell which one's hooked up and which one isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. I want the math block to go to the number block, not the number block to the math block. All right. So if we have... we need a negative.
Yeah.
Let's use minus. There we go. And we'll just set this number to be...
You can
there we
just...
go.
Okay, yeah, you can do
We
that
have
too.
a negative 24 or negative 43.
Just one
in
input
this
to negative makes the input negative. You can disconnect the black one.
Brent.
Yeah, okay.
Just leave it, leave it. So we have a negative number. The value inside is negative 43. We're going to take it to the absolute block, and that'll just make it positive 43. Durf, are you nerd? I'll show you. All right. So the next function is hypotenuse, and that's where you can just take like 2 inputs. It'll do the square both of them, add them together, and then take the square root of all of that and return the value. Say, you know, typical high school stuff, even less than high school, I think. Easy stuff. You just take, if you ever want to measure triangles in this game, you can definitely do that. Speaking of triangles, oh, this is log. I thought it was going to be another function. Log and exponent. This is like super nerd stuff. I'm just going to skip by it for now, because like I'm pretty sure people understand how to use the math block at this point. You just take as many inputs as you want, as you need, put them in there. It'll do the function and output the value in number format. So this, whoop. Okay, there we go. We're getting into some more programmer type of stuff right now. So let's take
I'll put it to division.
yeah, we're gonna take a decimal number. Floor will round it. Floor is a round function that rounds it down to the bottom. So if you, like I said, we're getting into more of like programming stuff. So if you know what this is already, like we already have, what are you doing? 1.6, there we go. And
Yeah.
we're, are you gonna, yeah, there we go, you're adding digits. But it's just gonna round it down to 1. Doesn't matter what this is, it could be 1 point, what is this? You're doing, divided by 15, we can probably, oh wait, no, that's too much. No, yeah, we can do that. We can do divided by 17 to get in the, oh, I see.
It's floor.
I am a dum-dum. Okay, there we go. No, not 2. 1.7. It'll still round down to 1, even though it should be rounding up. Like, typically when you think rounding numbers, it rounds up from 0.5. But it doesn't matter what this is, it'll always round it down. And this is going to be useful. Well, you guys can decide how useful it's going to be for you. The next function is just normal rounding. So if it's 1.8, it'll round up. But if it's 1. Hold on.
4,99999. Then it'll round it down.
I don't know how to. There we go. 1.1. It'll round down to 1. The round is just normal rounding. Seal. If you see this, it's not the type of seal that performs tricks for you, or you see in the zoo. It's ceiling. That's what it stands for. Look up at the ceiling. So that will always round up no matter what the number is. So 1.4 rounds up to 2. And again, these are just very like programmer type stuff. You guys decide how useful this is for you. Min and max. These take 2 inputs, so we actually got to do the min max over here.
Yeah. Pretty much.
All right. So min will take 2 input, or like as many inputs as you want, really, but it'll take 2 inputs. For these functions, it sort of doesn't matter what the color is. The picture will always tell you if you need the color for order of operations. Like if you see a white dot and a black dot, or a white X and a black Y, it'll tell you that you need the order of operations. But minimum will take the input values
Yes,
and
and take the
return
smallest.
and return just the minimum value, or like the lowest value. So in this case, it's 30 and 21. And the next one is max. Should be pretty self-explanatory. You get input between 30 and 21. Which one is the biggest? It's 30. And now we're definitely getting to some high school math. This is trigonometry. I can't say it. You say it, Brent.
Well, you already said it. Trigonometry.
Trigonometric functions.
Yes.
Yes.
Sinus, cosinus, tangent.
Yeah. And this takes, well, it's taking 2 inputs, right? Oh, no, it's taking 1 input. Okay.
Already changed it. It
Well,
takes an input in degrees.
It would be helpful to the audience if you said what you were doing.
Right. Yes.
So just 1 input, you can take the tangent, the cosine, the sine. There's also the inverse of that, or like a sine, arc sine. I mean, arc sine.
Yeah, arc sine works between -1 and 1. Doesn't return anything else. If you're bigger than.
Okay, so the input has to be between -1 and 1.
Yes.
Okay.
So.
And that should probably apply to all of them except for arctangent.
Yes.
Anyway, pi. Pi is good. Pi is tasty.
We forgot about the sinus and cosinus. The input is in degrees, not radians. Just saying.
Okay, so for the people that wonder about sine and cosine, you can either input in degrees or radians. We just went with degrees because we're going to be using, like you can use degrees for so much more in these parts than radians, or just radians isn't as intuitive. Like there's a reason why the controller is in degrees and not radians. So whenever you're using the trigonometry, just make sure that your input is in degrees. So if you want to take this, like triangles, if you have 3 different positions, we'll get into another part that actually outputs like number for positions and stuff. But if you're trying to calculate the position between stuff, and you want to use trigonometry to do it, just make sure it's in degrees, your inputs. Pi, it doesn't actually require any input. Doesn't like it'll oh my god, I'm stuttering. It will ignore whatever input you give it. So it doesn't actually need it. It's just to carry the value of pi if you want to use it. So I actually saw somebody building odometer the other day. I think it was yesterday.
What is that?
They wanted to... What?
What is an odometer?
Yeah, I was going to explain that. An odometer is the thing in your car that measures how far the car has traveled. And so they actually needed to take the diameter of the car times that by pi, and then they can get the circumference of the wheel. And then if they just measure how many times a block on the edge of the wheel goes in front of a sensor, then they can actually measure how many, like what the distance the tire actually rolled.
Sounds overkill.
Sounds overkill. No way. No way. You have not seen overkill yet. Brent, just you wait until some real big nerds get into these parts. They're gonna build full-fledged arcade machines and stuff. Random number is just a random number. You can use this as a random number generator. So Brent hooked up a switch. Turning on a switch will continuously produce a random number until you flick off the switch.
Between 0 and 1?
Yes. If you give the random block 2 inputs, 2 number inputs, not a logic input, this is 1 and 62, it'll produce a random number between those 2 numbers.
Let's try bigger numbers, like
something in 9 and 60. What are you doing?
25 and 62. You will never see a number.
Oh, like a more
smaller
specific range.
Yes.
Yeah. So every time that you generate, you can also use this. Like if you just did, let's do actually something that people would know about. Bam. Between 1 and 6.
But if you need to do between 1 and 6, you can really just disconnect the 1, because if you have one input...
that will be between 0 and
No,
and 5,
0
right?
is not included. That is Lua. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this is an easy way to make a dice roller. And as Brent was mentioning, you can disconnect... you can just have one single input, and it'll just be between 1 and that input. So you could just have 6 as a single input and roll the dice. If you wanted to have multiple dice, I mean, you could do this multiple times, but you could also just put in 12, or, you know, there you go, 12, between 1 and 12, and that's essentially 2 dice. I rolled a 1 with 2 dice. There's a problem with my logic.
Yes.
Right. I'm sure smarter people than I will be using these parts.
Let's hope so.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? All right.
Turn out awesome.
Some more programmer functions. This is less than or greater than. Again, these need order of operations. So if you have, for example, like that smart sensor that we saw a while back, or a counter block, you can actually paint. You can paint the sensor white. Paint the counter block black. Define your order of operations. You can pretend that these white and black block are whatever number inputs that you want. We're just using the number blocks for now, because like it's easy for us to set numbers to them, but you can actually use any number inputs for these functions. So if it's this one is greater than or equal to, if white is greater than black or equal to it, it will return true, or in this case just a 1.
Or a logic
This
gate
is like a
that is
logic
on.
output. Sorry, what were you saying?
Or a logic gate that's on over here.
Yes. Yeah, so it'll also turn on logic gates and timers or whatever else you want to use it with. So it'll have greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, just plain old greater than, just plain old less than. And I actually used some of this stuff in the night mod video. I created a sort of like a floating follow bot, and that used these less than or greater than functions to determine altitude. And it tried, you know, it just kept a little floating bot. I think it was like 16 blocks above the ground. You can also do comparisons if it's equal to. The seat functions.
Let's get some seats.
We almost got through everything, but these seat functions are probably pretty useful to show, so we're definitely not going to skip over this stuff. All right, let's have just a couple of seats, because we don't have any more seats to show. I don't know how to rotate this thing. Okay, there we go. I got it. I got it. Wait.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
We can't both do the same thing at the same time.
No, indeed.
All right, let's display the seats over here. We're going to display AD values here. And hold up. Oh, wait, no, the WS doesn't have decimals, does it?
It does.
It does?
It's between -1 and 1.
Yeah, but it doesn't have decimals.
Yeah. Oh, and, yes, with 2 seats it does, because it's an average.
Oh, right. Okay. All right, so we're just going to do 2 digits and some decimal places. And this one, we don't really need more than a single block because we don't have that many players in here. All right, so let's not confuse people with too much at once, but we're just going to take a look at this seated block first. This one will take any number of seats as input, and it will count the number of people that are seated. So Brent just sat down, the number flicked to 1. And if I sit down, it flicks to 2. And back to 1. So this is an easy way. I was actually thinking the other day, I kind of want to build like a musical chairs kind of game, because like you can actually determine the number of chairs that are in the game and like remove a chair in some creative way. But you can also count like the number of people per round. So like you can have everyone sit down before the game starts. That'll determine the number of chairs that you need to start the game. And then I don't know. It'll be an interesting project if I can get it to work.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's the seated function. And it's probably useful for like a bunch of other things too. Like if you want to make sure everybody's seated before the train moves, or who knows? Who knows? Maybe you want to prevent driving before, like the driver must be seated so that your cars never drive away from you. That's what I'm getting at.
Yes.
You have to be seated for the car to actually drive forward. Can you imagine if cars were that safe in the real world? There are some cars that don't let you turn on the car unless you actually have the seatbelt connected.
That's
a smart idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, so A and D.
If you go sit down, it'll show it too.
I did. Yes.
Oh. Right.
Were you not paying attention when I sat down?
Quickly looked away. It's all right.
Okay. Okay. So A and D and W and S. These are WASD converters, but it's like for both directions in a single block. I know the Intelligentsia mod has stuff like this, but I actually haven't had a chance to try it myself. But from what I understand, they have like W, S, A, and D all in separate blocks, so that's like 4 blocks.
Also, they only go on or off, and not numbers in between.
Right, yeah, they only go on or off. So I guess I'm gonna hop in, and if I... Oh, no, we need to do one at a time. Little too ambitious here. Okay.
Alright, I'll
Your
press
seat's
this.
ready.
Yes.
So yeah, if you press W and A and D, left and right, we can see that right now he's turning left. That's -1. Turns right, it's +1. And we get to see like all the numbers in between. We get to see exactly how he's steering. Yeah, he's like flickering on the right direction. I'm not even looking at him, but I know that he's doing this just because of the number readout. And W and S is the same thing. Positive, so forward, and negative for backwards. And if we do hook up multiple seats to these functions, it will take the average of these values. So it's kind of hard to see because of the setup. It's not very convenient.
That's alright if you zoom out.
So Brent Batch is turning left. You know what? Let's actually... Now the numbers are upside down, damn it. Alright. So I hope you guys can see. You know what? I'm just gonna move my seat. I don't know why I have to deal with that. There's my seat. Hook that up. Alright, so Brent Batch is turning to the right. And if I turn left, it'll average out to 0. But if I turn right, it'll average out to 1, the full value. So this way you could actually create a cooperative vehicle where you guys actually have to, same for W and S, by the way, too. If I go forward, it's only 0.5. He has to go forward for it to be 1, or if he goes backwards, it cancels out. But yeah, this would be a fun way to create a cooperative vehicle where people actually have to agree on the direction to go for the vehicle to actually go in that direction. Fun stuff. And that is the math block. There's some more stuff that we actually haven't looked into in detail. But we'll leave that for the nerds later on. This is going to be just a very basic introduction, which we're already like an hour into this. This is way too much. Oh man, it's so much time spent on the math block, but it could just do so much.
Yeah, way too much. And we plan on adding more, right?
Yeah, we're gonna add some more when we can. So the next couple of things that I want to show, we actually still need the number blocks for this stuff. So I'm gonna pull out the Exo-meter. It actually has a bunch of modes in it,
and use a
and the time block as well. So let's pull out a simple car. I don't think I have a simple car.
Here we go.
That is not a simple car.
It's really stable.
Alright, well, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. I don't know what I turned down, but I turned it down.
It's the gas engines.
Oh, man. Okay, that's, What? Okay, there we go. Let's see this. Yeah, it'll do. It'll do, I guess. All right. So let's set up. That's way too many meters, by the way.
No. See, we all need them. Oh.
Yeah, but we're not gonna do the other stuff. We're not gonna do all of them on this vehicle.
Okay. Yeah, altitude might be better.
But anyway,
for
this
flying.
is just an example. I don't need this many blocks. We'll do. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll do 4 decimals and 3 decimal places. Okay, so this Exo-meter, let me just take a look in the inventory and show you again. It has a bunch of different modes to it. You can measure speed, acceleration, altitude, your position in the world on the x-axis, position in the world on the y-axis, and a compass. And this is also where we'll get into... What do we have here? Speed, excel... 2 different compasses.
To show that it works on sides and on the top. Doesn't matter how it's rotated.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter how it rotates. It'll always point north. That's north?
Yes.
Not the other direction's north. Are you sure it's not pointing south?
No. It's north, because the sun is south.
We're on the northern hemisphere of whatever planet this is.
Doesn't... Oh. Yeah, yes.
Yes. So, alright, so let's first, I guess, just show speed. We're gonna hook up speed to all of these digits in the back here.
You could just use a white number gate to make it quicker.
No, because what are you talking about? This thing outputs numbers.
Yes, but if you use a white number gate in between, then you cancel out connecting all the wires every time, again and again. Anyway, I'll do it in the next step when we test out acceleration.
Alright. So this is going to be our speed, right down to very specific decimal values. This is in blocks per second, right?
Yes. That's
Alright, so we're going about 40, a little bit higher than 40 because, or 50 even. We're hitting max speed. But then as soon as we turn, we slow down because, well, turning slows anything down, really. All right. And that was pretty straightforward. Let's disconnect all of this stuff.
Connect it to the white one instead. That's the carry bit, basically. Carries the number.
Yeah. So this is what?
Oh, thought you were gonna. Okay.
What do I have? We can't both do things at the same time. We're gonna spend more time wiring than not. But this is an example of another example of how to use the number block. As I mentioned like earlier in the stream, you can use it to display numbers, but you can also use it to transfer number values. So this is one useful way that Brent Batch is pointing out, that we can actually take the number value from this meter. Right now it's the accelerometer that we're taking the value from. We're sticking it inside this white block right here. White and black, the white and black colors, they don't actually carry like a digit, a digit weight to them, like all the other colors do. But remember, they were for like the order of operations and stuff. So they can carry the entire value, not just a specific digit. So you can use white or black to carry your number values around. And then from that, we're splitting that value up into the digits here to read it out. And this is just convenient for us so that we don't have to wire up all these digits every time we're going to switch to another meter. Brent, get in.
Yes.
So acceleration, that's what we're measuring right now. And you can see it's going a little bit crazy. We're flickering between something and some other number and 10.
That's because of scrap mechanic. Bounces up and down on terrain.
Yeah, we're bouncing up and down a lot. But as we're picking up speed, this will actually start to actually go closer to 0. And that's because we're reaching like a maximum velocity.
It's best to try this on a flyer, actually. It's more stable.
Yeah. Yeah, we're bouncing it up and down too much for it to make too much sense. But acceleration will measure your acceleration in all directions. So even if you're turning, that's a change in velocity. So we're actually hitting like 30s and 40s just by going around and turning. And that's pretty straightforward. Let's disconnect that and connect a compass. And this will output in degrees the angle that we need to go to.
This one does depend. It depends on how it's rotated when placed down. It's really important how it's placed down this way. Because if you place it down differently, then north relatively to the compass will be different and the angle will be different.
What are you talking about?
So if you place down...
no, okay, yeah, no, I understand what you mean. So the first compass down here, it's pointing to the left on the compass face, and that's what's giving the -90, about -90, because it's almost exactly left. That's what's giving -90 on this compass. But if I connected the top compass, it's actually pointing to the right on the top compass, and that would give +90. So that's what Brent Batch means when he's saying that it depends on how you put down the compass. But this is also useful because this will return the angle that you need to orient yourself to the north direction. And you could use this in any number of ways. Like if you, for example, just do +90 to the thing, you can like program a flyer or something to fly west or east or south.
Or a specific route? No. Maybe.
So you can give, like you can use in conjunction with the math block and other numbers to program a specific direction for some flyer or something like that. Anyway, we're back here. I think we're going to show, well, before we get into that, actually, we don't even need to show that because I'm pretty sure people understand at this point these things output numbers, all kinds of numbers, speed, acceleration, altitude, position Y and position X. So like altitude is pretty straightforward. It's the number of blocks that you are from the ground level. So it'll give an output, it'll output a negative number level, like if you're in that ravine over there.
Yes.
Or position X and position Y. If you're like in the center of the map, we're pretty close to the center of the map actually. So these should be very low values, but they're going to give positive and negative values. It's like a coordinate system where anywhere that you want to be. So you can actually use altitude, position X, and position Y to give your position in three-dimensional space in the scrap mechanic world. And you can actually program maybe like a drone to go from a very specific position to another position. Maybe you want to plan a flight route and just have your AI drone fly there from point to point to point.
Yeah, could totally work.
There's so much that you can do with this stuff. But I want to move on to, we'll go over here. We're going to put down some number blocks. Can you do it? Because I messed up my rotation already. This is the time block. This is, ooh, I like the connection dot of this. But this is a very simple, another number output.
It's a Unix time, actually. It shows the current seconds of the day.
It's
well,
a number output. It's not a logic, like it's not on or off. It's another number output thing.
It's
a
a
new
Unix
format that we're introducing in the game, numbers, and this will tick every second, every single second. And this also returns the actual time in the world. If you know what the universal standard time is in Unix time, the time that I'm talking about, like there was a epoch. I think it was like a couple hundred years ago or something like that. And
1970.
1970?
Yes.
Are you sure? That's way too recent.
No, it's 1970.
Well, anyway, this is it's the time that's like computers use to synchronize with each other, even like GPS and stuff. It'll give like a very precise time. It just counts up from 0 every second from that moment in time. So that's what these number of seconds are, and you can actually use this number to convert it into an actual clock. And that's what Brent Batch has done here with something that's way too complicated for us to explain right now. But I think this isn't his time.
No, this is GMT, I think. Yeah, it's GMT.
Are you sure it's GMT?
This would be my time.
Oh, it is GMT. Okay. Yeah, so this is the global standard time. If your time zone was 0, this is the time. You can actually plus or minus however many hours you want on the hours side.
This
was
for
clock.
You,
right? No. Wait. 12. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it should be 16.
Oh. This then. No.
That is not. No. That is not 16. But if you look at your times right now on your computer or watch, you'll see it's 11 minutes past the hour, about 30 seconds in. I mean, unless, give or take, some people don't set their clocks properly.
Mm-hmm.
But you can actually use these numbers. You can actually okay, so Brent Batch used this to make himself a clock. But you can actually use this as like a general timer, because like this will just count up 1 per second. So you can use this to, like, for example, freeze frame the starting value of a race, and then when you end the race, you can freeze frame the value over there, use the math block to do some subtraction, and you get the exact time that the race took in seconds, or something like that.
Or just
so you can use it as a general timer. This fancy little device, it'll just output the number in seconds. So speaking of, memory panel, we're definitely going to need you to explain this one. Because I'm
Yes.
still not sure how to use it. Actually, no. Let's pull out the clock again.
You're gonna save the
Okay.
clock value?
Yeah. Well, I want to display the clock value, whatever the current clock value is, but we're going to set up some more number blocks for our panel has. Okay. So the clock value is being input into this memory panel, and the memory panel it has like a bunch of you can put in a number value into this thing and save that number value for later. It's kind of like your computer RAM. That's why this thing looks like a bunch of RAM sticks. You can also specify if you have a white number input. I don't.
It's black, actually. No, yeah, no, white, yes,
I'm
white.
talking about the channel.
Oh, yeah. And
I only need one.
Yeah,
thing.
one, and then
I'm
switch.
just gonna show them real quick. Real quick.
Let's show the saving of the thing first, so it saves it.
Well, no, I'm just gonna explain it. We're not actually gonna do. Well, maybe we can do it, but. So a white number input specifies the channel that you're saving to.
And also
So
reading.
if you put in a white number input of 1, you'll be saving to channel 1. 2 will be saving to 2. 3 will be saving to 3. So you can actually save as many different values as you want in this memory panel. Like you can have this thing is basically like a little computer.
Yeah, you can have
But
a
let's
lookup
keep it at
table
0 for
and-
now. And we're gonna show. Oh, you already saved. Okay, you already saved a number from the time block. That was just a few seconds ago.
20.
20 some seconds ago. So the logic input on or off will just, you press the button and it saves the value. Now if we go over to another channel, that channel is empty. We can go back, we get our value back. So here, that's how you read and write to the memory panel. So let's go to channel 3 and we'll write this new value here. Bam. Now we go back to channel 0. We have the first value, 72,883. Go back to channel 3, 72,908. Very neat little thing. And you can use... so one thing that I imagined while I was making this with Brent,
Instantly
you
reset
could probably
everything.
use this okay, black input is to reset the value. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, every value. All of them.
Okay, erase the entire thing.
Yes.
All right, one thing that I was imagining, can it do channel -11?
No, it doesn't take negative values. It makes them positive. You can try.
Okay, so it'll make the value positive. If you input a negative value, it'll just do positive value. So if you input -11, it'll just be channel 11. Anyway, one thing that I was imagining that you could do with this is like instructions for, like you can save entire instructions for AI or maybe a video game. Like if you think about arcade machines back in the day, or like video game cartridges for old video game consoles like the Super Nintendo, they were basically this, and you can save a bunch of number values at different memory addresses. So then if you create an arcade machine, all you need is a cartridge where you can put in like just connect a memory panel, and the memory panel will have all the information to run the game. It'll take a while to like load in all the values, and then the machine will run based on what those values are.
Which I totally did for Enigma.
What? Oh,
I-
God.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. No.
I did lookup tables and stuff, and it
Yeah,
totally works.
do a video on it. Do a video on it. Your
Yes,
missed
yes.
opportunity here, Brent.
Yes, yes.
You'll have to go over to Brent Batch's channel to see whatever the hell that was. Jeez. He's a little bit excited about this logic stuff, in case you guys couldn't tell.
Way too awesome.
Yeah, there's so much that you can do with it. I think that's it. Well, okay, we have a few other stuff.
And gimbal.
Yes. Okay, no, not the thrusters yet.
ASCII block.
Yes. I'm pulling out that stuff. Okay, let's go over here again. We're actually just gonna clear out some of this stuff. I don't need this. Don't need. Okay. Not there, though. Oh, not there, though. Okay, so wireless.
Ooh,
this little fancy part, it, again, takes number inputs, number output. It's similar to the memory panel. You can define a channel, or like a frequency that this thing works in. So if I go over here, stick down another memory thing, and I press E on this, take a look at this icon right here on the left side. You can see it's in sending mode, but if I press E on it, it'll go into receiving mode. So that's going to be frequency 0, and that's frequency 0. This is the one that's sending, so this over here is going to be receiving. Let's hook that up. We're going to disconnect this here. Bam. So we can just use this display here. And we're going to pull out a number value. What is this? Oh, you okay, you hook up a light to turn it on.
Switch works too. Anything works, really. Even a seat.
Okay, relax, Brent. So, again, if you guys remember, there's a difference between logic input and number input. So a switch, if you put it into like a number type block, it'll just come out to be 1 or 0. And that's what you see when Brent was over there flicking the switch. That's what you see over here. It's 1 or 0. And that's also what logic inputs, like lights, timers, logic gates, they all take logic inputs. So here we have, he's all the way over there. We're not even connected at all. Not even by blocks. The ground doesn't connect stuff. And he's controlling this light, trying to give me a seizure over here. But you can also transmit very specific number values. Like any number value that you want, you can transmit wirelessly. Here's another thing, though, about, like, you can set a very specific frequency with the numbers. And that's the same with the memory panel. If you input a white number value, you can specify the frequency to operate at. We don't really have to show them because, like, that's self-explanatory. But one thing that I want to show is you can also change the channel. And that's, say that you want to...
Oh, yeah, coloring. It's a sub-channel, really.
Maybe it's a little bit of a hassle for you to set up the frequency. You can just color it a different color. And that will specify the channel that you're receiving on. So frequency 0, purple channel. That's what I'm receiving on right now. And maybe you can have like a little game. That's not purple. This is purple. Oh wait, it was purple. Whatever. Point is, you could probably have like a little game, or maybe one person has a base over there, like on the other side of the map, and you want to like spy on their base or infiltrate their base, and you want to hack into their systems. So you have to figure out what frequency and what channel they're operating on. But the thing is, if you have multiple sending things on the same frequency and channel,
and
then you're not going to be receiving. You're just going to be receiving a bunch of gibberish, static, if it were, like a random numbers, because it's interference. So at the very least, like, you won't be able to see what information they're transmitting, but you will be able to interfere with their operations, or just determine what color and frequency that they're operating on. Neat little feature of this. So that's the wireless block. Very similar to most of these other number logic stuff, but a very specific function to wirelessly transmit. You can also transmit for example, over here, you know what? Stay there, Brent. We're gonna get rid of this though, and we're gonna get rid of this one. We're gonna stick one over here. We're gonna paint it purple, and we're gonna connect our AD block, and we're gonna remove a seat. So now, Brent, well, he's not able to show you, and I'm not able to show you, but I'm sending the signal from this AD converter right now. The numbers between -1 and 1. That's what's being sent over the purple channel right now. So let's see if I can. Brent, are you back?
Yes.
Okay, go into that chair over there and steer. Yeah, see, so we're getting the value from that AD block, the AD converter, wirelessly. So this is how you can create a remote control car or something like that.
You can really just connect the seat directly and then use W and S and AD converters.
On the wireless?
Yes, yes. You gonna do it or okay? And
I am gonna
WASD
do it.
on the other side.
I don't have a math block. Do you have one?
Yeah.
Okay. The rotation is... Alright, and we'll connect those there. We don't really need readouts for it, because it'll flash on and off.
Yeah. Right. So when you steer left or right, I can see it.
Yeah. Okay. The AD block and
WS
perfect.
works.
You wanna give it a try?
Yeah.
So we hooked up the seats directly to that. Does that mean we can also hook the? We can't hook this up to bearings, can we?
No.
Yeah. No, we have to use the AD converters for that. Right. Yeah, we can. You can see hook up directly to. So you did. So what I did was actually inefficient because I was just transmitting one value.
Mm-hmm.
But here we're transmitting two different values: WS, A, and D.
And then if you multiply another input by 10, you can also put it in there. And then have a decoder, encoder, but that's more complicated stuff for the nerds.
Okay, so moving on. We have. Oh, look at this! Look at this! It's the. Right now, I'm showing my stream the ghost image of the new letter block. So it's an easy way to determine how your letter block is rotated. And these letter blocks, it's as you probably seen on the video, you just press E on them to set the letter to anything that you want. And there's a lot of letters on this. I'm just gonna quickly go through them all. Stop. You're filling my screen with smoke.
Oh yeah, true.
I'm gonna go through all these letters really quick just to show you like how many there is. Because like we can't sit here all day and just, you know, show everyone. Although there are checkers pieces, chess pieces. So if you want to create a screen with these letter blocks and program a game, you can do that. And we're gonna get that into that real quick. Actually, let's hook up a letter block to this counter over here.
Just did.
There we go. Oh, yeah, you did down there.
Yeah.
But these letter blocks also take in a number input to go to a very specific. Oh my God, that is too fast. They go to a very specific symbol. There's some dice if you want to, some cards. Maybe you can make a game that uses an entire deck.
Yeah. People can
emojis.
kind of get into
You make
that.
yourself a messaging app with the wireless block. So many symbols, much symbols, and that's that. There is a there's two different versions of the letter block. One is just so that you can paint the outside. The symbol is going to be white, and one is black so that the symbol is going to be painted. All right, let's quickly move on to this bad boy here. This is the color block. You might have seen on the video. In the video, I was actually showing. All right, well, let's reset that.
Yeah.
And we'll get rid of this. We'll get rid of these. All right, so the color block actually has, I think it's like 32,000 or something colors.
Yeah,
it has a lot of colors.
Better.
Lots and lots of colors. So, unfortunately, the way that it counts up is like, if you know, if you've ever played around with like RGB values in like a image editing program, you'll know like blue counts up first, then green, and then red. So if you look at this thing counting up, let's reset that. If you look at this thing counting up, it'll just count the blue channel, and every time it goes up to blue and then goes back down to a dark value, that's counting up the green channel. So we're getting into let's actually go, there we go, it flicked back down. Every time it changes, it's counting like between 1 and 6 for or between 1 and 8, I don't know. It's counting up on the blue channel until the blue channel overflows into the green channel, and that's why we see like we're getting more and more green into this.
Yeah, anyway, Durf, I'm kinda gotta go, so everyone head over to Durf, and
okay.
Yeah, I'll probably, I don't know,
build some cool stuff on your channel, man.
Yes, like the Enigma machine. Anyway.
You guys heard that here first, folks. It's gonna be an Enigma machine. Oh my god. I don't know what movie that's from.
Right.
Is the movie called Enigma Machine?
Yes. Anyway.
Oh. Alright. See you later, friend.
Bye.